Today's lesson is on point files and leaks. And what a point file is it's a file that's generated when you have a leak that we can load, and it will direct us to where the leak is at. And learning how to use this is important because as we're moving forward in Source Engine, being able to kind of help troubleshoot your own errors is important, because I'm not always going to be around to answer your questions, or you don't want to have to wait until you can talk to me the next day when you've got something, relatively simple like a leak stopping you from moving forward. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have you create a brand new map. So we're just going to click on or open up Hammer. We're going to go File, New. We have a new map, and we're just going to create a really quick skybox. Okay, so I'm just going to take my block tool and I'm going to make a box. Does not really matter what size the box is, as long as we can put a player inside of it. That's what I would like to see. I'm going to hit enter to create the box. Man, let's back out here a little bit and see what the box looks like. I'm going to change the material on it because this it's like a pair of pants or something like that, and it doesn't look right. I'm going to put a normal material on here, just some dirt or something. Let's see. I'll just do this one. Alright, so here's a box. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the box hollow. Normally not the way we do things. We don't normally make hollow boxes for skyboxes, but for these demonstration lessons it's perfectly acceptable because we're not really going to use this as a playable level. So I'm going to select the box, come over here, right click, make hollow. I'm going to put -8 for the thickness, click OK, and then if we fly inside, what you should see is we have a hollow box now. Okay, good. Now let's go ahead and put a player in the middle. So I'm going to go to my entity tool, info player start, drop the player anywhere you want. Doesn't really matter. Alright, now I want to create a leak. So what I need to do is separate this skybox so that I can grab the individual sides of it, because I'm just going to lift the top off just a little bit to create a leak. And you'll notice when you click on it, it's one solid object. If I click off of it and then back on it, so I can't really grab the roof and lift the roof off. It's because it's grouped. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to Tools, Ungroup, and now all the sides of this are individual. And what I want you to do is take the roof, and I want to lift the roof off, just an inch, just a tiny bit. So in order to get that inch, I need to go over here to my grid size tool, and I'm going to go ahead and click the smaller grid, I don't know, 10 times or so, until we get that little tiny 1-inch block. And take the roof, and I just want to lift the roof off 1 inch. Alright, so hardly any leak here at all. Like you can't even really see this leak unless you fly up here, and you can barely tell that there's a leak here. From the inside, you probably can't tell at all. Alright, so we've created a leak, which means the void, this void on the outside, is able to leak into the map through a gap somewhere in this skybox. So we created a gap. So now we're going to go ahead and compile the map. So I want you to click File, Run Map. It's going to want us to save it, so let's call this leak test. Save. Okay, and now on this menu, there's a checkbox right here that says don't run the game after compiling. Let's go ahead and check that, because I don't want to run the game yet. I want to look at the compile log. So I'm going to check the box that says don't run the game. I'm going to click OK, and my compiler is going to run. It should run fairly quickly. When it says copy to clipboard at the bottom, that means it's done. So I want you to scroll all the way to the top of this, to the very top of your compile process window here, the compile log, and start looking down through your compiler. And right here is what we're looking for. It says leaked, and then it tells you the entity that caused the leak. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is the object that created the leak, but it's the object that the void touched first. And as it started working on light bounce and all that stuff, this is the first object that it came to when it was trying to calculate all the light in the world and all the good compiling that it has to do. And so when I say the object that caused it, it's not necessarily that this thing is out in the void. This is just the object that, as it was calculating, this is what it found. This is the first object that it found that was leaking or being hit by the void in the little light bounce. So what a lot of people will do is they'll just delete this object, and they'll run it again, and it'll leak, and it'll point to a different object. So they'll delete that object, and you just keep going through this process. And it's not that this is outside in the void usually. What it is you've got your Skybox has a hole in it. So you can sit there and delete every object on your map, and eventually you'll have no objects left, but you'll still have a leak in your map. So, but what we're looking for is this right here. Okay, this word leaked, and then right after it, it's going to tell us that, hey, this is the object that we discovered for the leak here. So let's close this. And we're going to come up here, and we're going to click on map, and we're going to go to load point file. Okay, not load portal file. Okay, point file. Load point file. It should say load default point file for this map. Click yes. And what you will see is this red line pointing to Gordon. And if we follow this red line, it will take us to our leak. And you can see there it is. It's shooting out through that little gap that we created in the Skybox. And the cool thing is this point file shows you the leak in every single view. So if I look in my map, from any view, I can follow this red line, and it should lead you to where the leak is at. Alright, so what do I need to do to fix it? Well, I'm going to close that hole in the ceiling. So I'm going to take this guy, the ceiling, I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to drop it down an inch. And then let's go ahead and run our map again. We're going to leave this checked because we don't really need to run this map. Click OK. Check our compile log. So we're going to go all the way to the top. And we're going to look for that word leak again. So I'm going to scroll down. I do not see the word leaked. It's good. Close this. And then if we try to load a point file again, you're going to get this window because now there's no point file. We have no leak, so we have no point file. So we can close that. Now we want to get rid of this ugly red line. So we will go to map, unload point file. The red line goes away, and our map is good. Alright, so that is how to load and unload a point file to help you find leaks on your map. Now, leaks, one of the most common things I've seen so far is people are putting a displacement as their ground. So remember, displacements cannot be your ground. They can be in your map, they can look like the ground, but underneath it you have to have an actual solid brush. a unique thing about displacements is they can stick through the walls out into the void, and they won't actually cause any problems. But they cannot be part of the skybox that seals up your map. So what I'm going to do here real quick is I'm going to add a prop static. And let me see what we've got here. You know what? Let's not do a couch. Let's do a car. That should work. So I'm going to take this prop static and I'm going to go ahead and stick it through the wall here. Alright, now let's compile our map again and see what happens. Don't run. Click OK. So here's our compile log once again. If I go down, it says leaked. So let's go ahead and see what's leaking. Load point file. So when I click load point file, if this pops up, it's pretty positive that I have a valid leak. So I'm going to click yes. Alright, now look at this one. So there are no red lines inside my box. But if I look on the outside of the box, there's my police car leaking into the void. Okay, so this is another common issue, is if you put in a tree or a large prop, sometimes you'll have it sticking through the wall. And if any part of a prop goes out into the void, it's going to cause a leak. So what I have to do to fix this is I need to bring this police car back inside. And let's recompile our map. Don't run. Click OK. Check my compile log all the way at the top. Leaks will always be up here at the top. So no leaks. And then I can verify that by going to my load point file. This pops up, which means there's no leak on this map. I can click cancel. And then I can, once the computer catches up with me here, I can unload my point file. Alright, the red line goes away, everything's good. Alright, so that is how to load and unload and view your point files to check for leaks. Your assignment today is to recreate what I just did and grab me a screenshot of a point file pointing to a leak in your map. So that means a screenshot where that red line is bouncing through the map, and I want you to show me the leak in all 4 windows. So I want to see the leak in all these windows. So I want you to load your point file so that I can see that red line in all of these windows. And then once you're done with that, this map is a throwaway. You can delete it, we don't need it, but you should have a good idea to how to troubleshoot your own leaks.